Calling all members of the in crowd. If you want to get in on the action, we want to hear from you. Hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com, or slide in our DMs on IG at FadeRoutePodcast, or drop us a line on X at FadeRouteDNZ. You can find us on Facebook, The Fade Route with DNZ. We're on Spreaker. We're on YouTube, The Fade Route with DNZ. Catch our videos. Like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, and spread the word. Coming at you from the Hey Yo Studios, it's the Fade Route with DNZ. Here are your hosts, D and Z.
Coming at you live from the Ayo Studio.
Hey yo.
It's the Fade Route with D and Z. I am D, and we've got a great show for you tonight. Giolito gets hurt. Cardinals can't hit a home run. And author Jessica Duemig joins us on the in route. But we'll begin today's show with, well, we've got some football news. The combine's over. Franchise tags are being handed out. Hope I get mine. And teams are trying to figure out their quarterback situation for next year. The Broncos have decided theirs. They informed Russell Wilson that once the league year starts, he's getting cut. This will leave the Broncos with $85 million in dead cap space for next season, and they will be on the hook to pay Russell for the next 3 seasons. So, Z, what are the Broncos thinking, and where will Russell Wilson play next season?
Obviously, Taylor's thinking,
I don't know what the hell he's thinking.
They said to Russell Wilson, who had a good year last year. If you look at him statistically, maybe interpersonally he did not have a good year.
No,
but statistically he had a good year.
He did. What, 26-8?
26-8, yeah.
26-8.
So, that's a major league rebound for Russell Wilson.
Almost made the playoffs. I think they beat Kansas City once.
Almost made the playoffs, and they probably would have made the playoffs if they didn't pull the fucking rug out from under him.
Right.
They got to the goal line, and then they decided to take a knee when they're losing. That's the strategy here. To say we would rather eat $85 million than have you in our building anymore.
We will pay you we'll pay $85 million so you just don't ever show up again at work.
Dude, don't come. Yes. We are changing the key code.
Stay the fuck out of the building.
We're changing everything. You get your personal coaches out of here, clean out your office, and we never want to see you again. That is
Make like a tree and get out of here.
So the damn Ford. So that's what it is. That's how toxic the relationship got between Sean Payton and Russell Wilson.
I mean, is this guy... I mean, listen, Z, we just talked about it. 26-8. To you and I, not bad. Probably his best year for the Broncos. But is it possible that this man is... I mean, it sounds stupid, but is he playing himself out of the Hall of Fame? Because, I never thought he was a Hall of Famer. Mike Wilbon and all those people at ESPN thought he should have been an MVP, Hall of Famer, all this stuff. But is he playing himself out of that conversation entirely?
The end of his tenure in Seattle played him out of that.
Yeah.
He did not play well in the tail end of his career in Seattle. He had a major league bounce back after the Nathaniel Hackett debacle. And, I think he proved that he has gas in the tank. He's 35. Yes, I understand he's 35. Aaron Rodgers is going to come back this year with a rebuilt Achilles. And he's going to be, 41, 42? He's going to play. So...
40. I think he'll be 40.
He's going to be 40. He's going to be 40. Okay. So, there you go. Tom Brady just retired. He played till he was 45. So, longevity is possible in this league. Now, the way the trajectory was going, it didn't look good for Mr. Wilson. He had a good year last year. He showed that he still has some gas in the tank. he's going to go to an organization. The organization's not going to have to pay him that much.
No, right? He should be able to get a league minimum, right? I mean,
yeah, like and for spite purposes, I'll take the friggin' league minimum just to stick it up the Broncos' ass at this point. Like, spite is a hell of a motivator. And, you know, like, I heard, like, Woody Page today and Around the Horn, or yesterday and Around the Horn, saying that the best place for him to go is the Raiders. I disagree, but I get where you're going. I understand where you're going with this. Oh, I'll go to an in-division rival and fuck you. I'll come into your building one time this year and I'll screw you over. So I understand. I appreciate that. I appreciate petty. Like, pettiness is great. I appreciate it a lot. Teams that could use Russell Wilson. Whoever loses out on Kirk Cousins, right? So if that's Atlanta and they don't get Justin Fields, why not Russell Wilson? They have plenty of, targets there. You have Bijan, you have a running game. You have Drake London. You have Kyle Pitts. You might get Calvin Ridley back. I believe the Jaguars aren't going to re-sign him, at least not yet. He's going to test the free agent water.
But just to stop you on Atlanta, but see, in the Atlanta situation, you would agree that he's the third option, right? Because you'd rather have Fields, you'd rather have Cousins, but you'd settle for Wilson.
I would say he would be my consolation prize in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, he would be my consolation prize in Minnesota. I would argue that Kirk Cousins is number one, Russell Wilson would be number two, because Justin Fields is not getting traded to Minnesota. Could he go to the Commanders? I don't necessarily. I think they're in rebuild mode. I don't necessarily think they're going to go and use a 35-year-old quarterback to bridge the gap to the future. Do the Titans with a new head coach, a new offensive coordinator, do they believe in Will Levis, or do they want a veteran to push him? That could be a very interesting thing. At the right price, I know the Steelers are saying all the right things about Kenny Pickett. You have to. Statistically, he's one of the worst quarterbacks of all time. But again, it's his second year. So it makes you wonder, if the price is right, does he end up in black and gold? Why not? Why not? And then, of course, the Raiders. Like, there are plenty of suitors. There are plenty of suitors in a market for Russell Wilson. It's just a question of how much is he going to expect to be paid, and has this experience made him reflect on how he's been doing business the past couple seasons, like how he's been doing things. Because while Sean Payton and the Broncos certainly are not without blame, there are two sides to every story. It always takes two to tango. So there has to be a little bit of blame going Russ's way here as well. So I would even, I hesitate to say it. I wanted him 2 years ago before he got moved to the Broncos. The Giants, but that offensive line is still crap. Like that, I would love Russell Wilson on the Giants. Like, they have weapons, but they're stuck with the albatross that is Daniel Jones, and it's behind a porous offensive line.
No. I mean, they're not stuck behind Daniel. They have a chance to opt out of that, right?
4 years, $100-something million. That's going to be a tough get out. It's going to be tough to get out from under that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, any contract is tradable. Clearly, any contract is tradable because they traded Russell Wilson from Seattle. And let's pivot to 1 second here and think about that. Is the Russell Wilson trade the worst trade in NFL history?
So just to recap, you're talking about 2 first rounds, 2 second rounds, a 5th round, and 3 players to the Seahawks for Wilson and a 4th rounder. And then that happened on March 16, 2022. And on September 1st, 2022, the Broncos signed Wilson to a 5-year, $242 million extension. And over the next 2 seasons, Denver will deal with $85 million in dead money.
Exactly. And the caliber of players they got back, because all of those picks have been taken. It's all been vested. So you're looking at left tackle Charles Cross, Boye Mafe,
Trash.
Devin Witherspoon,
He's okay.
right? And then you had Derek Hall. Okay.
He's okay.
And then, on top of that, Drew Lock, Noah Fant, and Shelby Harris.
Love Drew Lock.
He's your boy. I know.
Fant's garbage.
But it's all been vested. We don't have to project anymore. Like, it's reality. This is what happened. So can we definitively say that this is the worst NFL trade of all time?
You know, the only thing I would say is that I feel like in this NFL you can bounce back, right? I mean, we saw the Rams. Look at the Rams. They traded everything for Stafford, and they were back in. Number one, they won the Super Bowl, but they were back in it this year without having all the picks that they have. Now they did, actually get. I won't say they got lucky, but they did right, and they got some good guys with their draft picks. We talked earlier in the day about Herschel Walker possibly being measured up against this, but this I think has the potential to be the worst deal of all time.
Well, when you think about the Herschel Walker trade, both teams kind of benefit, right? Here, Seattle definitely did. Did the Broncos? They're left with $85 million dead cap hit. They don't have a quarterback. I'm sure they would love to have Drew Lock back. They don't have the tight end in Noah Fant. They don't have Shelby Harris. They got Ugats is what they got for all this. 2 seasons, one of shooting themselves in the foot and the other one of Nathaniel Hackett's ineptitude. Straight up ineptitude. And it's got to be. Like, at this point in time, until the next one happens, this one has to be the worst trade in NFL history.
Yeah, so, just to put my 2 cents in here, I don't really know what they're thinking. I guess they're going to roll with Stidham and draft a guy. I don't understand why they couldn't make it work. He didn't have that bad of a season, but I talked to a former head coach last week about Russell Wilson, and he didn't think he played very good last year, despite the numbers. He said he's not any good. He's not a good quarterback. And then I've talked to another scout who's pretty much said that he's not a leader, which I thought was like, whoa, I mean, good, jeez. So there's not a lot of people going to bat for Russell Wilson, which makes me wonder, where is he going to play? To me, the one that jumped out right away, and I think it's a no-brainer, is the Steelers, right?
Yeah.
Because of the front office there, the head coach, the type of football they play, right? We're not an air-it-out team.
No.
We're going to run the football. We're going to pick our spots. We're going to play defense. Sounds like it's something an older quarterback can work with. And the next thought I thought about was Atlanta, but like you even said with Atlanta, he's the third option. I mean, they got bigger dreams. If everything falls apart, yeah, you can come play here, I guess. That's really
we'll take
that's
you.
really the thought there. I don't think the Giants want him. I don't think they're gonna take him. I don't think they really need him. Maybe the Colts. Colts is another team that I think.
Possible.
Maybe if Fields winds up getting traded to Atlanta, then maybe since you're drafting Caleb Williams, then maybe you bring in Russ because he's a veteran. You're bringing him in for being a veteran, right?
Some Kurt Warner type situation until Caleb's ready.
That's the only thing I could think of. The Vikings aren't going to do it. Even if Kirk leaves, they're not going to take Russell Wilson. So I believe his options are limited. And I was never a fan of his, so whatever.
Step outside of your safe area and make a statement without saying much with FCK Clout Lifestyle Apparel. Embrace the colorful chaos and stay emotionally regulated in their hoodie, snapbacks, graphic tees, accessories, and more. Season 3 merch is up now. Get it while you can. Go to fckclout.com and get all of your needs from men and women. That's fckclout.com. But you know what's not whatever? The New York Rangers. 40 wins. They did lose to the Panthers on Monday, and it, definitely exposed them a little bit, especially against upper echelon teams in the Eastern Conference. But the talk of the town recently has been Rangers enforcer Matt Rempe, the Rempire State Building, as they're calling him.
Yeah.
The 6'8" bruiser, who on skates is over 7 feet tall, and you can't teach that, has other teams circling the Rangers on their calendar, has other enforcers circling the Rangers on their calendar. Everybody wants a shot at this guy. He just took on Ryan Reeves. His first game, outdoor classic, right? The Stadium Series. First shift, dropped the gloves against Matt Martin. So he's not fighting tomato cans. He's fighting names
right there.
Like, he's fighting names. I've loved Matt Martin for a while. I would have loved him on the Rangers. But in the offseason, we talked about how the Rangers, they needed grit. They needed to be tough. They needed jam. But this seems to be the negative attention, right? It's goonery. It's the things that you're not really proud of when you talk about the NHL. So how important is it for Matt Rempe to pick his spots and learn how to be a professional hockey enforcer when it comes to fighting these guys who are gonna come and try and take a poke at him?
I think it's incredibly important. But on another note, I believe the Rangers made a trade today.
Alexander Wenberg.
Got Wenberg.
Yes.
Which, with hockey, it's all about being strong up the middle, right? You got to have a good center, you got to have a good goalie, and you got to have a sturdy defense. And I think this center is going to really present that to them.
Absolutely.
Which may make your boy Rempe have to go back down. But people like him too much, so I don't think that's going to happen. No, he needs to pick his spots, and he talked about that after the Panthers game. He felt like, players were egging him on, and it's like, there's only so much of it you can take before you're like, you know what, drop your gloves, man. Like, I'm not going to listen to this. So, I think it's important to get momentum on when there's a chance to get momentum on your side. Obviously, you don't want to do it when you're losing. Obviously you don't want to do it when you're winning, because then you don't want to give the advantage to the other team. So he's got to pick his spots. He's got to be smart. I unlike a lot of people, I do believe in this Ranger team. I think they got to stay the course. I think they have a good coach. When they get north and south on you, man, it's a wrap. Like, they can get north quick, right? They can rush.
Absolutely.
They can rush quick. Zibanejad has really been great. I now with this center, I feel a lot better about the defense. I feel a lot better about up the middle. These games they lose to the Panthers, these games they lose to the Hurricanes, that's the shit that makes me nervous.
Well, they're losing games to teams with strong defense. That's the thing. Like, when you start working on guys like Brady Shea, guys like, Brett Pesce, Jacob Slavin, pretty much anybody in Carolina. They're tough, they're gritty, they'll work you. They're lunch pail guys. Carolina is the nemesis. Carolina is the nemesis. I'm just going to say it right there. They're like the antithesis of what the Rangers do. They'll grind you down. Their defense is tough as nails, and they're going to give the Rangers fits. Absolutely, they're going to give them fits. Where they struggle is in front of the net. Like Chris Kreider, like, he's playing out from the net again. He does play in front of the net on the power play, so there's that. But one guy who's really not living up to that expectation is Barclay Goodrow. They got him from Tampa Bay for that reason, and he had a good first year. And and it has been diminishing returns ever since. Barclay Goodrow, I mean, last year he had the broken foot. Like, he's, it's not trending in the right direction for Mr. Goodrow. That's where Matt Rempe could really, that's where he can really be a difference maker. Dude, 7 feet tall. You're telling me you can't put a 7-foot screen in front of a goalie? Come on now. And he's going to jam at the puck.
Chara status right there.
Yeah, he's almost as tall as Zdeno Chara. Yeah, absolutely. Like, Big Z was...
Dude.
He was absolutely... Like, he's an eclipse.
Fuck.
Like, he's going to be a goalie eclipse in this league. So... And even Ryan Reeves said, Revo, after he fought him, he said, this guy's going to be a menace. That's another great nickname for this guy. The Menace. So, guys are afraid of him already. Like, guys are kind of, like, seeing that he's legit. So, if he can stay at the penalty box, if he can kind of be that body in front of the net, like, not only is he going to make himself more useful, he's going to get more ice time, and he's going to keep himself on this roster. So Wenberg, they got him from Seattle. I mean, it's 2 draft picks, and it's really to replace Filipino. Filipino still has the concussion problem, and he hasn't played for the majority of the year. So you get another center in there. I know the Rangers are also linked to Pavel Buchnevich, a little reunion with him, a reunion with Frank Vetrano. I prefer Vetrano. Some people prefer Buchnevich. Whatever you want, whatever floats your boat. They do need a little bit more firepower. I personally think Vetrano is going to give you a higher upside. Yeah, he's had more multi-goal games this year, but at the same time, he's had more multi-goal games this year. So, like, he puts the biscuit in the basket. We want that. We want goal scoring. So, if that extends the lineup a little more, and then Rempe moves to the 4th line with, like, a guy like Will Cooley, I think that's a fine grinded out kind of line. And most importantly for Rempe, he needs to realize that his presence freaks the other team out. So if he can kind of get them chasing and get them doing what the Rangers want them to do, which is play sloppy, play undisciplined, take bad penalties, now all of a sudden the Rangers are going to benefit from this because they'll have more power play chances. So this is fine. Establish yourself early. It's not a Linsanity run because it's just a ridiculous comparison. Like, I heard that. Like, this is the hockey version of Linsanity. No, he's not scoring a goal a game. He's getting into a fight a game. It's a huge difference.
He's got 2 black eyes, this fucking guy.
Right. It's like Draymond mania. It's like Draymond sanity. So, I mean, once he learns the nuances of how to be an enforcer, Matt Rempe is going to be A-okay in this league.
Avoid messy accidents. Get better stopping power with your brake pads. Callahan brake pads. You never know when you'll be driving in the road and there will be a truck tire that you need to avoid and save your family. Callahan Auto. We really care about what's under your hood.
Well, a team that's not A-okay right now, as we move over to baseball, the St. Louis Cardinals, not exactly tearing the cover off the ball right now. Paul Goldschmidt's in that lineup, Nolan Arenado's in that lineup, and they still have yet to hit a home run this spring training. Opening day is only a few weeks away. Is this a big deal, little deal, or no deal at all?
I think it's an enormous deal. What do you mean? We're 6 games in, 7 games in, and no one's hitting home runs? I mean, listen, you want to fuck around with batting stances like Lars Newbar, or you want to do something, you want to work counts, but you got to put the bat on the ball. You've got to see the ball over the fence. You've got to hit into different situations. And now where it is that Sonny Gray is going to likely start the year on the IL.
Yep.
That could be a fucking problem because they're counting on him to be an ace. Flattery's gone. Like, I don't know. This team might be in sell mode by the trade deadline if they don't get their shit together. So I think it's an enormous deal. I don't know how anybody can bat an eyelash out of this. Just for comparisons, the Cardinals don't have any home runs, and Baltimore Orioles and Philadelphia Phillies lead all spring teams with 11 home runs. And they've all played the same number of games. So I think there should be some concern in St. Louis.
Well, you don't want to leave them all in Florida, that's for sure. But you want to hit some. Well, you definitely want to hit some.
Something, anything. Yeah. By accident, fuck it, whatever. You're not going against top talent every day.
No, completely.
Somebody's got to make a mistake. It's just, and you've got sluggers. I mean, there's some dynamite players on this team outside of Arenado and Goldschmidt, right? You got Nolan Gorman. I think he led the team with home runs last year.
Gorman's a solid player, yeah.
Luka Baker is good. Chandler Redmond, Moises Gomez. They all had 30 last season. Like, these are prospects. These are their prospects who are playing right now. Like I said, Newsbar. Newsbar. I actually like that guy, but somebody's got to hit something here. Come on, you're in a part of the National League. You have to face the Dodgers, man. Like, you got to put up some runs.
I mean, it's pretty darn thin, though. I mean, as much as talented as they are, Wilson Contreras is coming back from a down year. He's going to have to contribute. Tommy Edmonds probably going to start the year on the IL. They signed Brandon Crawford.
Oh, no, seriously?
Yeah, they signed Brandon Crawford to a minor league deal, so he's probably going to get the nod. But I mean, there's definitely a depth issue with the Cardinals that they cannot really afford this kind of lack of output or any injuries, especially since they traded Tyler O'Neill to the Red Sox. So you're looking at Carlson, Nootbaar, Burleson, Jordan Walker.
Jordan Walker's another good player.
Walker's another. At 21 years old, like, this is his time to shine. But I mean, it's very early. They're gonna hit at least one, you figure. And when the lights are on bright, that's when you really want the home run barrage to come. But this team has aspirations. You know, you bring in Sonny Gray, you try and refortify that rotation with Gibson. You had McCollus already. Lance Lynn you brought back. Like, you're trying, right? You're trying to build this rotation up so you can take on the Cubs. You're trying to build it up to take on the Brewers, who got rid of Woodruff, and now Woodruff is back. He's down with, he's rehabbing an injury, but he'll be back at some point. And then they traded their ace, right? They traded Corbin Burns. The Reds, the Reds are young, they're up and coming, but like, I don't trust them. And the Pirates are the Pirates, man. Like, that's what they're doing. Like, the Pirates are what the Pirates are. They sent number 1 draft pick Paul Skeens down. He's not going to break with the club this year, but the simple fact that he had an opportunity to potentially break with the club tells you about the dearth of talent that's on the Pittsburgh Pirates. We got this kid straight out of college. Let's do it. Let's just throw him out there. Let's see what's the worst that could happen.
Put me in, coach. I got those strikes.
Come on. So, I don't know. Any prolonged slump just furthers the idea that this is the Cubs' division to win. But from the real diamond to the digital diamond, MLB The Show made headlines this week revealing that they will have a female player mode in this year's edition, which will allow you to play as a woman in a unique storyline, which culminates with a woman making a professional baseball team. So, is this an effort to sell more copies of the game, or an effort to be more inclusive?
Oh man, I don't know how to feel about this. Alright, there's two avenues I can take with this, right? The first avenue I'm going to take is, I want to say that 95 to 96% of the people who buy this game are male. They're male. I mean, it's a baseball game, anybody who knows playing a baseball game, it's a lot. I mean, it's 9 innings. It's 162 games. You can dumb it down to 26. You can dumb it down to 81 or 82, but it's a lot to play a baseball game. Okay? It's not for everyone. It's not an arcade game. There's strategy involved in this game. I don't see the appeal of a 12-year-old who buys this game who's going to do this. That's number one. Number two, I just don't think it's necessary in a baseball game. And the only thing I worry about is this kind of backfiring where the males or the young kids, the teenagers that do buy this game wind up doing this mode as almost like a joke, right? And then posting that on the internet or joking about it with their friends or people in school. And that's the only negative effect I think this could have, on this mode in this game. It's not a reason why someone's going to buy this game. At least I don't think it is. And I just think it opens it up for a lot of criticism.
I think it could be both, right? You want to grow the game of baseball. You want to grow your market for video games. There are plenty of female youth sport baseball players who are very good. Like, we know this. Like, in personal history, we've had plenty of girl baseball players when we were young boys, right?
Sure.
When we were young, we had plenty of girls that played with us, and they were really good. And we saw sexism firsthand. We saw talented girls not make travel teams because they were girls.
Sure.
And no other reason other than they were girls. So, it's definitely an idea to be more inclusive, and we should be more inclusive. Because, you know what? They're more inclusive on the college level. They've had female athletes start collegiate baseball games. We just had one last week as a catcher.
Yeah.
So the game is growing. The game is being more inclusive. Video games should reflect that. And at the end of the day, like, you're always going to have your jackasses who are going to do stuff like that, who are going to just be sexist and moronic, because some people are just sexist and moronic. Like, let's just call it what it is. Some people are just like that. You're never going to totally eradicate that. And it's unfortunate, but it's true. But the generations coming up, this generation in particular, way more inclusive, way more understanding, way more appreciative of female talent, and way more gender blind. The best example, thinking back, was the Sabrina Ionescu thing with Stephen Curry. And Michael Wilbon saying that his son didn't want the LeBron shoes. He didn't want the Curry shoes. He wanted the Sabrina Ionescu shoes. Because game recognizes game. Same thing here. Game recognizes game. If you can play, you can play. Like, think back to Monet Davis. All those years ago. Right? She was talented. Probably still is talented. I lost track of what Monet Davis is doing these days. Would it surprise me if she was still playing? Not at all. Because you know what? She's talented. And game recognizes game. So it's important. It's important to be inclusive. But at the same time, we're not doing it. It's not altruistic, right? The profits from these games aren't going to charity. It's a business. At the end of the day, it's a business. And I'm sure this decision was put through multiple focus groups, went through multiple meetings, and this was not done on a whim. The designer of the game didn't say, "Oh, let's just put in a woman." no, we're going to run this up the flagpole and see who salutes it. And I'm sure in that focus group, they found that there were plenty of people who would. I don't see an issue. And I think that the next generation isn't going to see an issue either. Unfortunately, I got to say, our generation, there's going to be some. The generation after us, there's going to be more. There's going to be resistance to this. I can envision that now. Like we're of that last group where, the you play ball like a girl is a pejorative. Now people see that as a compliment because girls play ball just as well as the guys. And I think that's important. And we need to be proactive. We need to be on the forefront of this. I teach. You're a parent. I'm a father figure. Like we can't be dangerous. We can't be loose and flippant in that language because that's how sexism prevails.
No, I feel like I don't remember which one it was. I don't know if it was NBA 2K or if it was one of the live series, but I vaguely recall them having the WNBA players or WNBA mode. And I feel like that's different, right? It's not the same thing as having a unique female experience of the show. Basically, for anybody who doesn't know what the show is, it's a professional baseball game where you start out in the minors, you create your player, and it's all about making it to the show. It's all about making it to the league. And so, what they've really done is that they've taken that and made it so that you can be a woman or a man. And the woman's storyline is unique, and it salutes the players that have, climbed into the minor league programs. And like I said, I don't think it's a bad thing. I just don't know if there is a market for what they're trying to do, and I don't know if that's the platform to do it on. And that's all, because like I said, gotta be 95 to 98% of the people that are buying this game are males. And they're looking for a specific thing. They're playing this game for a specific thing. I don't really know if there are a lot of females who want to play this game for that reason, right? Like I've never, even when I played the show, I've never been I want to do a season. I want to be Mike Trout. I want to be, Anthony Volpe, Aaron Judge. I'm not necessarily interested in creating myself and trying to make the majors. That was something I probably would have been interested in as a 17-year-old or 16-year-old or a young kid. That might have been fun, But sometimes it's getting out of, being able to play as the stars or, doing things of that nature.
It's a generational thing, because at the end of the day, we're older. I mean, we're still their target demographic because we're baseball players and we have discretionary income.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Because we even seen it in the wrestling games. I mean, you remember you had the wrestling games where they had the women wrestlers, and you could make a woman wrestler and you could be the women wrestlers, and they were different than the men. I don't know if they would allow you to do the things you could do back then to them now. But it's an interesting avenue they've taken, and we'll find out how it works out. One of the things that are not working out so well for the Boston Red Sox is their starting pitcher situation. Luis Giolito may need to miss the rest of the regular season with a partial tear in his UCL. Now, Z, there are two fine gentlemen waiting at home for a phone call. So, should the Sox call Blake Snell or Jordan Montgomery? Or should they just roll with what they have because they're not going to win shit anyway?
So, who would be in this rotation anyway? I'm just asking, because who are we looking at? Brian Bello,
Stud.
Cutter Crawford,
Amazing.
Tanner Houck,
Cy Young candidate.
Brian Mata.
Unreal.
Okay. Then you have your bullpen of Kenley Jansen, who they were trying to trade. You have Liam Hendricks, who's coming off of injury.
Oh, jeez.
Who basically they're just kind of they signed him to trade him. And then you have a guy like Chris Martin, not the guy from Coldplay. Although the guy from Coldplay might be more entertaining on the mound. And Nick Pivetta.
Oh, that guy still plays?
Yeah. Oh, and of course, former Yankee Garrett Whitlock and former Yankee Greg Weissert. So, that's their pitching.
I think it's so funny because, when he got hurt, they're like, oh, shit. It's like, fuck.
I mean, what did you really expect from Lucas Giolito? He went from the White Sox to the Angels to the Guardians last year, right? Because they made that big trade. The White Sox sent out Ronaldo Lopez. They sent out Lucas Giolito to the Angels thinking that they were going to help out a contender, and then Lucas Giolito shit the bed.
Yeah.
It shit the bed to the point where they sent him to Cleveland. It's like, you're so bad, you just go away. Just go away. We immediately regret this decision.
I mean, the Red Sox team in general, just taking away this Luis Giolito situation. Yeah. I mean, they're roughly average, right? And they're in the division that they're playing in, average just ain't going to cut it, man.
They're last place with or without him in that division.
Right.
I think we can agree on that. So, I think this is...
They have a less than 25% chance of making the playoffs. Would you agree with that?
Oh, I completely. Less than 10.
And listen, I was being sarcastic when you were rattling off those nobodies who make out their pitching staff. But, I mean, just so we all know, fellow Brian, who can't even spell his name correctly, he's only eclipsed 110 innings, and he's got a 4.2 ERA. And that was the best among Boston starters, with at least 10 innings pitched. That's scary. Chris Sale is gone. They were able to bring in Vaughn Grissom, which the Braves gave up on.
He's hurt too, isn't he?
Yeah, he is hurt. So, I mean, that's what I'm trying to say is it worth even picking anybody up? Or are we just like, whatever, man, let's just get through this season and not lose 100 games?
We didn't even talk about their position players. You ready to talk about their position players?
Yeah, why not?
So, your catchers are Connor Wong, Reese McGuire, and Tyler Heineman. Woo! Jason Varitek, man.
They sound like people who work for Verizon.
Yeah, can they go get Jason Varitek back? Can you squat? If you can squat, you can probably still play.
Who was the other guy they had that was decent? Vasquez.
Christian Vasquez, yeah. He's in Minnesota, I think.
Go get that guy. He was good.
So, he might be in Houston. I lost track of where Christian Vasquez is. I think he might be in Minnesota or Houston. You got Tristan Casas. Okay, solid. Bobby Dahlbeck, former top prospect. Not really cutting it.
No,
Devers came in looking like Kung Fu Panda.
No, but he's their best player, right? He's the only player, and he's really frustrated with the situation because he wants to compete. He is Jack Park. Traded your only gun.
Au revoir.
How could you trade your best player without asking? I'm tapped out. I'm not going to make much payroll. But I got you an outfielder.
Right.
Played for the Giants.
Not those Giants. Major League 2, unfortunately, that's reality for the Red Sox right now. That's reality. I got you an outfielder. I got you O'Neill. Paul O'Neill? No, Tyler. So, yeah, I mean, Vaughn Grissom's hurt. Trevor Story's there.
He's hurt.
Yeah, Trevor Story's still
hurt. He's not hurt right now. He will be.
He will be. Jaron Duran's not bad. Like, O'Neill, I think
Isn't
O'Neill...
that something when somebody describes you, you're like, he's not bad.
He's not bad. It's damning him with faint praise. He's not bad.
He's not bad.
He's not good, but he's not bad.
They don't even go that far. They just say he's not bad. They don't even want to talk about the good. They don't even want to use good in the same sentence as that guy.
And the problem is he's also 27. So, you know, like, he's only he hasn't been around that long. He's already 27. So that's
but
all
then again, if you're Jordan Montgomery or you're Blake Snell, do you even want to go there? You're like,
that's a good point.
I don't know about that. I'll wait for another phone call.
I don't know. Like, I really don't think that that's the case. Like, there has to be a better offer out there than what the Boston Red Sox are doing.
Who else is available? Is Mike Clevenger available? Where's that guy?
No, I think Mike Clevenger signed. But that's the kind of guy you're looking at. That's who the Red Sox are going to like hang their hat on this year. Guys that are like barely hanging on. Oh no, Mike Clevenger I think is still a free agent.
All right, let's give that guy a call. Let's give that crazy motherfucker a call.
All right.
What about Michael Lorenzen? He was kind of
He's
good.
looking for a 2-year contract. So that's possible.
Sounds like a Red Sox already. Okay. Bring him in.
All right.
How about Rich Hill? How about that guy?
Oh, Dick Mountain.
Rich Hill is always looking. Dick Mountain. He's always looking for work.
He's
looking to get on a team and get hurt and not play.
He's trying to be Jamie Moyer, man.
How about Zach Greinke? Zach
Greinke retired. Zach Greinke did retire.
Give him a call. Let's see if he wants to make 10 million.
Could you imagine him throwing that slow crap in Fenway?
I like how he grunts when he throws it too. He's like, ugh!
82 miles an hour.
88.
What?
Get it up.
What do you mean, what? They're hammering the slow crap.
Listen, you just sit there and catch it.
I will if it ever gets to me. That's
two
two Major League 2 references in one night, people.
I'll throw it. You just make sure you catch it.
I will if it ever gets to me.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
How about Jake Odorizzi? That guy.
Last time I...
How about your old friend Noah Syndergaard?
Oh, fuck that guy.
Look, how about
He's a free agent.
How about your boy Wheeler signing another contract with the Phillies? That's gotta burn you, man. Come on. How are you not burned by that? That guy was like the future of the New York Mets rotation, and he's spending pretty much his entire career with the Phillies, like getting close to the World Series and shit.
Yeah, he's not winning anything though. But he's won as much as the Mets have.
That's a good rotation, though. Wouldn't you agree that you'd rather have the Phillies starting rotation than having the current Mets starting rotation?
Well, yeah. Sure.
You could have had all those guys. Those guys are not homegrown guys.
Well, you could have had Aaron Nola. Could have had Wheeler.
Yeah, you had Wheeler. You had him.
Well.
And then who's the other guy? There's one more guy that's decent. Is it Padilla? No,
Vicente Padilla's been retired for years.
No, but there's another. There's a third guy that's good. Is he a Met too? No, he's not. No. Who's the third guy of the rotation? I feel like they have another Met.
Well, I mean, the track record is such right now that, every move is kind of biting them in the ass with the Mets, right? Because, DeGrom leaves, wins a World Series. Didn't play, won a World Series. Max Scherzer won a World Series. Barely a factor, won a World Series.
Taijuan Walker.
I
knew they had a bet. I knew they had another bet.
Well, it was another one, but the organization burned its bridge with him. So I'm more broken up about the fact that Taijuan Walker's not a Met than Zach Wheeler's a Met. Because if I'm looking at it, $126 million guaranteed. It's an albatross. And Zach Wheeler's not a spring chicken anymore. He's not young.
No, he's not.
So that's the thing that bothers me. And,
Is he 34?
It's old 34. Dave Dombrowski.
He's 34, though, right?
He's 34. He's going to hit 37. Eventually, he's going to stop hitting 97, 98 on the gun. Right? And he's going to have to start pitching again. And when Zach Wheeler was pitching, that's when he got hammered.
Their starting rotation's better than the Mets. Their bullpen's better than the Mets. And these are all guys the Mets could have had and they didn't fucking get them. It's like crazy.
Well, they could have had him. And then Brody Van Wagenen was their friggin' GM.
That's wild,
so,
man.
And they could the Mets really have had him at that point? Because your owner was Fred Wilpon, who didn't spend shit, and when he did, it was bad. And he invested his money in Bernie Madoff.
Nice.
So what money did he actually really have?
Nice, Richard.
So there's that. So what money? Open the John Taffer with Bar Rescue. We're gonna pull out the we're gonna bust open the books. Let's see the books. Show me the books. Let's see how much money Bernie actually made off with.
Phillies roster is good.
The Phillies roster is loaded, but it's not sustainable, man. It's not sustainable.
They're just going to try to score more runs than everybody. That's all they're going to do.
The other teams too. The other teams are going to do that too. And just as a reminder, the Arizona Diamondbacks ended up in the World Series last year. Yeah. So all you got to do, you got to be hot. That's the key. You got to be hot. You can't just be good anymore. You got to be hot. Do you love brownies? Of course you love brownies. But you know what's better than a brownie? A delicious, handcrafted, gourmet brownie delivered right to your doorstep. That's what our guys at Sweet Life Brownie Co. offer. Chef Tommy D and the crew offer a dozen delicious delights that you will crave, from the classic OB to Dutch apple to campfire s'mores and many more. Check out their website, sweetlifebrownieco.com, for their Friday brownie drops. At noon, their site goes live and you see what they're making. Since you're there, become a site member and earn points. You earn 50 points just by signing up. Make sure you follow them on Instagram and Facebook too, at sweetlifebrownie_co, for the latest updates and their latest releases and creations. That's sweetlifebrownieco.com. Give them a call, 845-641-3043, and tell them D&Z sent you. That's sweetlifebrownieco.com, 845-641-3043. Sweet Life Brownie Co., because there's always room for a brownie.
Moving from runs to points, LeBron James scored his 40,000th point over the weekend. He was already the all-time leading scorer, passing Kareem and Karl Malone over a year ago. So where will LeBron finish in points, and will we ever see another player score 40,000 points?
Well, considering the fact that he's already the leading point scorer, right? This is just a nice round number.
Yeah.
Right? This is not a milestone. He didn't break a record. They just wanted to celebrate a nice round number for one Mr. LeBron James. And that's okay. You know what? The NBA season is long. Why not have a little celebration in the middle of the game, right? But let's just bow down to the king. So that's a-okay. Will anybody surpass this? It's hard to say yes, right? It's hard to say yes. The one thing about LeBron, while he is breaking down in recent years, right? You're looking at 55, 67, 45. Granted, that was in the COVID year. 56, 55, 55. The beginning of his career, you're looking at 79, 80, 79, 78, 75, 81, 76. He played and he played a lot. In this new era of NBA basketball, in the load management era, in the I play when I feel like it era, I don't see anybody in this current vintage, not one bit, not one person. And we were talking about longevity, right? LeBron just turned 39. So, who's going to hang on long enough to do that? Jason Tatum? Giannis? Steph? I don't know. And you have these kids, these one and dones coming from college. I'm not impressed. Like, maybe Wemby, just because he's the inside presence, but he can also shoot threes.
who got blanked in the second half last night.
Right. The one thing, the saving grace is that he's super young, right? He has the potential to have another 20 years in the NBA. So, as far as where LeBron finishes, how many more years could he legitimately have? Is the question. You can't figure that he's going to play into his mid-40s. You figure he's going to be wrapping up in the next year or so, maybe two. The human body just doesn't take that pounding. And the NBA is different from the NFL in that Tom Brady, when his team's on defense, he goes to the sideline. LeBron's supposed to go to the other side of the court. That's the whole point. Like, there is no offense, there is no defense. That is you the entire time. So there's a lot of tread on that tire. I'm thinking maybe 42,000. Maybe. Like, that might even be pushing it. I can't figure it's going to be that much longer. I can't figure he's going to get that much more. So, I mean, your guess is as good as mine, but I'm going to say his career is wrapping up sooner rather than later. So, I'm going to be pretty conservative with my number. I'm going to say he gets another 2K. Another 2K.
Yeah, well, I mean, he averages about 27 points a game. You got to assume that number is going to go down. He plays around 60 games. I don't think that number goes down too. So he's 39 now. So yeah, he's got like 3 more years.
Yeah.
So maybe 2,000, 3,000, somewhere in that area. I'd say he rounds up 43,000 points, something like that.
Is he really hanging on to play with Bronny, though? Because Bronny hasn't exactly lit the world on fire at USC this year.
Yeah, I don't know what he's hanging on for. I think there's a part of him that still wants to win, but he still plays at a pretty high level, too. So it's not like he's bumming it out there. He's still the Lakers' best player. Now, as regards to if anybody else is going to score 40,000, I mean, shit. I mean, look how long it took for Kareem to get passed.
Yeah.
I mean, Carl didn't get there. Michael Jordan didn't get there. So I think Wemby has a chance. But you got to think that his body's going to break down as he gets older. I can't imagine him playing at a high level into his mid-30s. He's just too big. It's just not going to work. Even with all the 3-point shots that Steph takes, he's not even in the discussion there. So, no, I don't think. I think you and I will die with LeBron James as the leading scorer of the NBA. We will know about Kareem, and we will know about LeBron James.
That is pretty accurate, unfortunately. And, you got to say that this is going to be LeBron's legacy, right? He's going to be the guy that outlasted everybody. He's going to be the guy who compiled, and he's going to get this. Now, the other question is he going to do this on the Lakers? Or is he going to do the mercenary thing just one more time? I don't know. Knicks fans, I'm sure, are like hanging their hats on it. We'll finally get LeBron James at age 41 years old. Finally, as he's about to retire, we finally got him. So, I think he's probably got one more in him, one more move. What could be interesting, actually, and this would be actually rather poetic. Go back to Cleveland for one more run. One last season, your final victory lap. Do it at home, boy from Akron, in Cleveland, do your victory lap, and then ride off into the sunset. To me, there would be nothing more poetic than that kind of thing. Because, say what you will, LeBron says he doesn't want accolades. He's going to get accolades, whether he wants it or not. And let's be real, I'm sure he wants them. He's an athlete with an ego. He wants the accolade. I'm not breaking any news here. Athletes have egos. So he's going to want the fanfare. And I think that would just be too great to pass up for LeBron James. Go back to Cleveland, close it out how you started it, and make Akron and make Cleveland proud once again.
You can't help but smile when you see a balloon. The simplest occasion is a party. Westchester Pop Stars, located in New Rochelle, New York, offers balloon styling and decor for all life's events. Birthdays, anniversaries, weddings, showers, school and corporate events, store openings, or just because. Westchester Pop Stars takes balloons and shapes them into works of art, creating decorative installations for your special occasions. No event is too big or too small, and their custom personalization service is top-notch. Westchester Pop Stars is a private studio, quickly expanding. In-person consultation is by appointment only. Send an email to westchesterpopstars@gmail.com for more information or to schedule an appointment. No need to hire an event stylist. All you need is balloons. Currently servicing Westchester, Putnam, New York City, and Connecticut. To find Westchester Pop Stars, search for them on Instagram, Facebook, or Google.
It's the In Route, where friends of the show get a special segment with us. Want to be part of the action? Want to be the newest member of the In Crowd? You know what to do. Hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com, or slide in those DMs on Fade Route Podcast on IG, or hit that Twitter, FadeRouteDNZ.
Today we have founder and CEO of Bright Strategy Solutions and author of Warrior, Jessica Duemig. Hey Jess, how's it going?
Hey guys, it's going well. How are you?
Hey Jess, how's it going?
Fantastic. So excited to have you on today. Thanks for agreeing to come on the show.
Of course, I'm happy to be here.
All right, we're gonna start you off with this. You know, the women's movement right now is strong in this country. You got Becky Hammon, Katie Ledecky, Caitlin Clark, Jennifer King, just to name a few. So outside of family, friends, and yourself, is there one woman the last few years that has stood out to you in what she has accomplished?
I mean, it's crazy what the women's movement is doing right now, and I think it's super cool to acknowledge every single one of these women that you mentioned, and every other woman that's doing incredible things and is not, necessarily covered by top 10 24/7 media, I grew up with really good, actually tremendous female influencers before influencers were cool. I mean, I grew up on Mia Hamm, and Susie Colbert, and seeing these women just do things that a lot of women weren't doing, and I grew up playing soccer, so Mia Hamm was right there always for me. But I mean, recently, I know so many women who are doing cool things, but don't get the recognition. And I'll be honest, like I kind of hate that the women's movement is a thing, because women have been doing really cool, big time stuff for a long time. And I wish we didn't need to talk about it. I'm not a fan of, if you can see it, you can be it. I'm a firm believer of be whatever the hell you want to be, right? You don't need to see it. You don't need someone to tell you it's okay. It kind of flies in the face of what everyone's accomplishing these days, and I just love saying, I don't care what you think you can't do, you can. So whoever you see doing things, emulate them and go after it.
Yeah, I think that's great. Just happen. Let's just let it happen. Let's not outline it, and let's just let it be. Let's just take you don't even have to take notes on it. It just happens.
Yeah.
And then, you're a founder, you're an author, you're a business owner, CEO, breast cancer survivor, PA announcer, director of special events. You're a one-woman show. I mean, so what hat fits you best?
I'm a slashy. That's a thing these days. I'm not one thing with a lot of things on the side. I'm a slashy. I'm all of what you just said. But it's funny. I recently, about 6 months ago, made a huge career pivot. And that was, I went off like 100% on my own. All that stuff was kind of quote unquote on the side hustle culture. And now I'm doing a lot of PA, public address announcing, a lot of producing, and I'm loving it. And honestly, the producer hat just fits me so well. And that's the one that I lean on the most, because I love being in charge. I love telling people what to do, and I love seeing everything happen from an idea through all the script writing and the coordination and making sure it's all set, to then seeing the event come to life in the arena, on the field, whatever. I definitely have the PA voice, but the producer hat is the one I'll default to.
Yeah, there's nothing better than when a plan comes together, when all the ducks align and everything you worked hard for just shows up on paper. And then when it doesn't go right, it's being able to change it on the fly, work in the moment, and still produce like a quality product.
Absolutely. I think, plan for the worst, but hope for the best. And I think if you plan for the pivot, like, you're going to be so well prepared that you really can't go wrong. I saw a quote not too long ago that said you have to trust your future self. And it was in regards to like anxiety and all this crazy stuff that whatever algorithm throws into Instagram. But it kind of hit me, and I was like, you know what? That's amazing. I love that. Because if you trust your future self, you'll figure it out. You've prepared, and you'll figure it out. And I love that. You don't need to worry about it. Trust yourself.
Yeah, it's actually something I've leaned on the last couple of years, and just saying, I've been in this business for a long time. I've seen everything. Trust that it's going to work out. Trust that you're going to figure out a way to come through, because you were built for this. This is what it was all about. This is why you stayed up late and worked, and this is why you ran into all the people you ran into and all the people you worked with, and everybody trusted you because you were built for that moment.
Absolutely.
So you've had the pleasure of announcing and organizing sports events throughout the state of Florida. Is there one venue in particular that you've worked at that outshines the rest?
Well, I'd be remiss if I didn't say it was our days back at the Meadowlands, but that's not in Florida, so I'll stay on topic. I love working USF games at Raymond James Stadium, University of South Florida Bulls. It's my alma mater. A couple of years ago, I got the opportunity to actually PA homecoming, which I think we figured it out to be only the second, and I know that I'm totally contradicting what I said in the earlier question, but only the second woman ever to PA a college football game at an FBS level, and it was really cool. Super, super exciting. And producing at that stadium, I've been doing it there for 15 years with the Gasparilla Bowl and USF Athletics, and it's an amazing stadium. The staff there is bar none, and having that tie to Tampa and my alma mater, it just doesn't get any better than that, I don't think.
No, it doesn't sound like it. That's wild. What an amazing experience. That's great.
It was so cool. I did it honestly, and I didn't tell him this then, but I did it cold. I didn't research anything. I definitely just kind of leaned on my knowledge of USF football and a lovely, beautiful lineup card, which is just basically the depth chart and some last minute pronunciations. And man, homecoming is a lot of talking over 3.5 hours. It was so long. Such an amazing.
Were you at the 50-yard line, or you kind of angled in the end zone?
Oh, angled in the end zone. It's tough there. Yeah, it's tough, man. But yeah, the pro stadiums, they have the suites all up and down the sideline, so they're not gonna waste that real estate on someone like the PA announcer. I mean, come on. But yeah, it was such an amazing, I was on such a high for like hours after that, but man, the next day the crash was pretty bad. So I was like, I feel like I was hit by a truck. Straight adrenaline for 4 hours. It was great, but it was a rough next day.
It wasn't until after it was over that you realized, wow, what did I just do, right?
Yeah, and then one of my main contact over at Ray J is a guy named Dan Roy, and he's phenomenal. He recorded me somehow. There was a GoPro that I somehow did not see. And so he emailed me a 4.5 hour video of that camera on me the whole time.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I gotta tell you, I'm not gonna lie, I watched it for like 20 minutes. I was like, wow, I make a lot of faces when I talk. I can't watch this anymore.
That's great.
But to have that was amazing.
I've never been to Raymond J Stadium, but I've driven by it a bunch of times, and it's a unique place. It's a really unique place.
Yeah, it's a great stadium.
So we're here with author Jess Duemig, author of Warrior, available on Amazon. So make sure that you get your copies today. She's also the CEO of Bright Strategy Solutions. In your memoir, Warrior, which you wrote in 2020, you detailed your journey fighting and overcoming breast cancer as a young adult. The book empowers and educates breast cancer patients and their supporters. At what point do you realize how helpful your journey would be for others in the process of writing the book?
I gotta tell you, it wasn't during the process of writing the book. When I have a huge family. I have a big Italian family from Long Island. It's mostly in Florida now. I've been really lucky to have a lot of friends, but they're all over the country. And as you guys know, I'm sure, big families mean a lot of crazy interpretations of what's going on. So when I was first diagnosed in 2017, I put together a Facebook group, as one does in those ancient times, it feels like at this point. But and I wasn't holding anything back, but I didn't want like crazy rumors started either, you know? So when I started just kind of using that almost as like a diary or a journal, kind of like videos and keeping everyone posted, a couple of people started asking like, hey, can I invite my friend who's going through this, or as a private group, and they were like, I think it might help them. And then more and more people kept asking that. I was like, holy crap, like, I mean, who wants to listen to me talk for that long, because I did a lot of live videos. But I was like, sure, why not? And then more and more and more people, I was like, holy moly, like, maybe there's something here. Like, obviously people aren't getting what they need, from whether it's support groups or the literature that's out there. And to be honest, when I looked at, I didn't want support groups, but I did look into some literature because I'm a big nerd. And everything that was written was like frou-frou and like fluffy. And I was like, this is not fluffy. This is the worst thing ever. This is freaking war, And so I was like, I'm writing that. I'm going to try writing that book, for people. And really it spewed through my fingers onto the computer, and that was it. I mean, that was it. And I self-published the book. It was fairly successful, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I just wanted to help people. I wanted people to have that resource that I couldn't find for myself. And I found out that it has been purchased on 6 continents. Antarctica, not Antarctica. The penguins don't really need it down there. Not many on every continent, to be honest, but every continent nonetheless. And it's helped a lot of people. I mean, the feedback I've gotten through social media and everything is just, it's heartwarming to know that I could have helped anybody. I certainly wasn't going to take it laying down, and I tried to bestow that on other people, I guess.
Well,
so
I mean, if you help one person, you've done your job. If sharing your story helps just one person, then it's a success.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I know that I'm sure you don't consider yourself an influencer in that regard, but there's definitely some influence to this, and it's a positive influence. So you're also the founder and CEO of Bright Strategy Solutions. In your career, you've worked in marketing solutions for companies like Maybelline, AT&T, Procter & Gamble, Anheuser-Busch. So a wide variety of companies. Can you explain why the coaching approach to consulting is so helpful to service-based businesses?
Yeah, it's interesting. I've worked in not only with some amazing brands, but in a lot of different areas of the process of marketing, right? So I've been on the sales side, I've been on the agency side, I've been on the strategy and the revenue generation side. And so when I look at it and I see how consultants typically work, it's all about job security, right? You're just giving people or brands or companies enough information to get to the next time they need you. And I hate it. I think it's slimy and disgusting. And the coaching approach from my perspective says, I would sooner tell someone, here's how you will never need to talk to me again, right? I want to coach them and teach them how to do this task that seems really hard because they don't know how to do it, but really with a little bit of elbow grease, they can master or figure it out and not spend boku bucks on a consultant or an agency or whatever. And my goal in a coaching approach to consulting is, look, I'll help you. I will do what you're asking me to do, but I'd like to teach you how to do it so you don't need me. And I found that, people, A, really respect that, and B, kind of find another reason to need you anyway, which is great from a business perspective. But I think, again, it goes back to like empowering people to do something that they probably can do, but just don't know how. And I think that that's the way it's got to be. I mean, so much money's wasted on consultants in the truest sense of how that industry works. And I would just rather see people succeed with the skill set that I can teach them.
I mean, we see it in sports all the time too. If you think back to the Jets had a consulting firm and they got Mike McCagnon out of it. So, not all of the decisions run through a consultant are the best ones. So we'll get you out of here on this one, but we'll tie it back to the Jets. We'll definitely tie it back to the Jets because we know you have, a fond relationship and a fond memory of that organization. One of your first stops on this road was actually an internship with the Jets.
It was.
You're still a Jets fan? Even with all of this? Even after all this time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I am. I'm a tortured Jet fan. I mean, one of my biggest things when I was at Jets camp, and I was an intern at Jets training camp the second or the last year they were at Hofstra.
Okay.
And literally like the semester prior to getting that internship, I tattooed the logo on my ankle. And yeah, so I committed then, and I'll tell you, I don't want to say I regret the tattoo because I don't really regret much at all, but for the love of God, can they please get it together? I thought last year was the
Super Bowl
year.
championship, did you?
No, I didn't even put the NY behind it because at the time they had really considered renaming the team to the New Jersey Jets, and I was like, I'm not crazy, but I'm a little crazy. But I opted for not the NY behind it, just to be safe.
That's fair.
But no Super Bowl attributions yet.
No.
I would like to see one in my lifetime. That would be nice. Hopefully sooner than later, but I think we say that every year, and it's just torture.
Well, it's that Brooklyn Dodger mentality, right? There's always next year. So that haunted, lovable loser mentality of the Chicago Cubs. As a Met fan, I totally get it, but as long as you don't have to have anything lasered off, like I think that's a win. But
That's true.
what do you envision? What do you want the Jets to do this offseason? And what are your expectations for them next year, hopefully with a full season of Mr. Rogers in the neighborhood?
I think about this all the time because my bucket list job would be to GM the Jets, but that is pie in the sky, of course. But I'll tell you, I think, a lot of people say, oh, we need an offensive line. I think we need depth on the defense because our offense is not just going to turn it around in a year. And we've seen that every year for the past, I don't know, however many at this point. But look, if the defense is going to be on the field for 3/4 of the game, we need some rest for those guys. That's I think, at least, and that's not a knock on our defense. Our defense is fantastic, but they can't be on the field the whole game. So like I said, I don't think the offense is going to turn it around right away. So at least get those guys some rest and some depth there. But I can't not say the offensive line. I mean, there's no reason that Aaron Rodgers should have even had to scramble 3 plays into that game. So, I don't know. I think my expectations are probably 0 because that's the only way not to. I go in. I love the movie Dodgeball, and one of the quotes there is, "If you never have any expectations, you'll never be disappointed." And that always works right up until the 3rd preseason game, and I'm like, wait a minute, maybe this is the year. And then that expectation just jumps up, and then it's you again every time.
Tim Boyle goes 8 for 8 in the 4th quarter of a meaningless preseason game, and yep, you got me again. You're hooked.
Yep.
Hooked.
Yep.
So, what do you think? Just to follow up on that, I mean, since we're talking about Scorbino backup quarterbacks, Zach Wilson. So they allowed him to seek a trade. You think he's gone, or you think he's just going to end up cut? Are the Jets going to get anything back for this guy?
Knowing the Jets, and if history's taught us anything, he's probably going to get picked up by the Dolphins and be a freaking star. It makes me want to vomit, but that's what's going to happen. Or the
He's
Patriots.
Gonna have to fight off Mike White again.
Let me tell you, the fact that we got rid of Mike White makes me want to, how many times does it have to happen? Braxton Berrios, Mike White. Insert every guy that ever went within the AFC East here. It's obnoxious. It's like, how do we not learn? But, I was a little surprised they cut CJ Uzoma today. I don't know if I said his last name right. I think he was a stud last year. I know he's expensive, but that move kind of surprised me. I get the salary cap thing, but honestly, there's so many ways around a salary cap. I don't know. But
Alan Lazard didn't play how many games last year? Why couldn't they just get rid of Alan Lazard?
Well, because
that's right.
Again,
he's Rodgers' guy.
Exactly. And this is the hard part about being in New York, where everyone, sucking for so long, and every year we hope it's the one guy is going to turn it around. Like, come on. But what kills me is let's tell everybody our playbook. Here's an idea. Let's get Aaron Rodgers' favorite receiver. I wonder who he's going to throw it to. What the hell is that? Feel free to show your cards, everybody. It reminds me of back in the day when Brian Schottenheimer would call a 3-yard button hook on a 3rd and 7. It's like, well, okay, the same old Jets. It's crazy. Oh my goodness, I could go on forever. Long story short, I hope Wilson's out, but I hope we get something. He'll probably end up on the West Coast and probably be a stud, but he has no business in the AFC, I don't think.
I know the Rams are hot for him, and I've always said that he would be perfect backing up Baker Mayfield in Tampa Bay, but we'll see where that goes. But,
oh my God, he'd have not to beat a dead horse, he'd have a field day in Tampa. They would eat him alive and up and all at the same thing here.
You're not Tom Brady. No
all
shit.
Up and down Dale Mabry Road.
Yeah, there's a lot of trouble for him to get into on Dale Mabry, that's for sure.
Oh my God. Well, no trouble here. Jess Duemig, author of Warrior. Get it today. And if you know somebody who's a breast cancer survivor who's going through it. Get it for them. Gift it to them. So, Jess Duemig, thank you for joining us on the In Route today, and feel free to plug any upcoming projects, or feel free to, use this time to talk about Bright Strategy.
Thanks, guys. No, I mean, honestly, I like to keep it, let my work speak for itself. I appreciate the opportunity. It's great reconnecting after however many years since Jets camp, Damien. That's awesome. It's so cool to be, still connected and chatting. And I'm just excited to kind of share my story, and hopefully it empowers somebody not to wait for some sort of terrible thing in life to do what you want, or to do what you need to do. Having breast cancer changed a lot for me, and probably things I should have changed a lot earlier on. So, I could be cliche and say, hug your kids, whatever, but no, just do what you want to do what's right for you, and don't wait for the end of what seems like the end of the world to make some changes in your life. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it, guys. Thank you.
You got it. Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. And if you want to join us on the In Route, if you want to be part of the In Crowd, hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com. Slide in our DMs on IG at Fade Route Podcast. Drop us a DM on X at FadeRouteDNZ. And you, yes you, may be the next guest on the In Route. Your favorite podcast has its own merch line now. Go to the Fade store with DNZ.com today for all your Fade Route merch needs. I'm talking tank tops, t-shirts, sweatshirts. Like yoga pants? We got those too. Like some cool accessories? We got those too. And we're not done yet. We have so much more planned for you, but check out what we have today at the Fade store with DNZ.com. That's the Fade store with DNZ.com. The Fade Store presents the Alleged Superstar of the Week Award. All right, boys and girls, you know what time it is. It's time for the Alleged Superstar of the Week. You know how it goes. We put up a poll on our X account at FadeRouteDNZ and our Instagram account at Fade Route Podcast. And you vote. And you vote, and you vote, and you vote. And the winner of said vote gets a shout out on this here show and takes home the coveted ass trophy. And do you know who took home the coveted ass trophy last week, D?
I don't.
MLB and Nike for their see-through uniforms.
Oh, yes, I got one.
Yes. Yes, you did. That is just, that is absolute junk. As Michael Wilbon would say. It is complete and utter junk. But that's last week. This is this week. Who are your nominees for Alleged Superstar of the Week, D?
All right, first up, I've got Russell Wilson. Wilbon and ESPN love talking about you as an MVP, a future Hall of Famer, and you were just cut 2 years into your 5-year deal. The team cutting you is taking an $85 million cap hit just for you not to enter into their building. That's right. Russell Wilson, you are my Alleged Superstar of the Week.
We tried.
Number 2, the Broncos. You trade heaven and the moon and the stars and earth for Russell Wilson, signed him to an extension, and then decided to trade up, cut him when the new league year starts. Not even Madden would let you do a deal like that. Denver Broncos, you are my Alleged Superstars of the Week.
Broncos country, let's go.
Number 2, the Boston Celtics. So, you're on an 11-game win streak. Your average victory in those 11 games is 11.3 points. And in your last 6 games, your average margin of victory is 20 points. You blow out the Warriors by 50. You're up 22 points on Cleveland in the fourth quarter. They don't have Donovan Mitchell. And and you blow the lead and lose? That can't happen to good teams, man. You can't. I don't want to hear the bullshit all that happened to the 72-10 Bulls. The 72-10 Bulls had Michael Jordan. There ain't nobody like Michael Jordan on the damn Boston Celtics.
Nope.
Boston Celtics, you are my alleged superstars of the week. What do you got, C?
All great choices. I really can't argue with any of them. The Broncos situation is just a fucking mess.
That's right. That should be the name of this podcast.
That's right.
That's right.
Oh, dear. I'm going to start with the NCAA.
Oh, okay.
All right. So reports indicate that they're trying to add automatic buys for the SEC and Big Ten champs.
For God's sake.
In the 14-team playoff, they haven't even agreed to yet because they just agreed to the 12-team playoff. What the actual fuck? Can you guys play a 12-team tournament before you try and move on to the 14-team tournament? How about this? Just go on to 68 teams. You can have the first game in Dayton, and it'll just be like college basketball. Just do that. Just do that. That's what you want anyway. You want more games. You want more revenue. You want more eyeballs. Just do it. Just do it. We know what you were trying to do. It is pathetically transparent. Just fucking do it. NCAA, you are my alleged superstar of the week. Number 2, Garrett Cole. For being butthurt that Daniel Vogelback took you deep in a spring training game. And then he allegedly slow-trotted you. This is a newsflash, Mr. Cole. That's Daniel Vogelback. Right? You can't confuse him with Otis Nixon. You can't confuse him with Billy Hamilton. He was probably running full speed. At the very least, he was jogging. What do you expect from Mr. Vogelback, who's built like a defensive lineman? Garrett Cole, get a thicker skin. And I don't want to hear about how you remember these things. Chances are, Vogelback might even be in Syracuse to start the year. So yeah, Pepperidge Farm remembers. Right, Garrett? Garrett Cole, you are my alleged superstar of the week. And then last but not least, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Oh boy, this is a whiff by the social media team, that's for sure. On X, they wished Foley Fatukasi a happy birthday. No big deal, not a problem. A couple hours later, the team cut him.
Ooh,
happy birthday! You're unemployed. So that's a bad look. That's a real bad look. Maybe you guys should run your cuts by the social media department, or just check to see what they're gonna put out before something makes it out that should. Jacksonville Jaguars, you are my alleged superstar of the week, and an honorable mention goes to Anthony Edwards for missing the tip because you just lost track of time. Look around you. If your team isn't there, maybe you should be elsewhere. Just a thought, Anthony. Just a thought. If you look up in the locker room and your team is gone, maybe you should go try and find them. Crazy idea. Crazy, I know. Anthony Edwards, you are an honorable mention. Alleged superstar of the week. I think we've said our piece. Go to our X account at FadeRouteDNZ. Go to our Instagram account at FadeRoutePodcast and vote. And vote, and vote, and vote. And for our nominee. Just do better, boys. Just do better.
This has been the Fade Route with DNZ. Thanks for tuning in. Catch our podcast on Wednesday nights on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. So until next time, stay faded, everyone.
Time for us to run the go route. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to this episode of our podcast. If you like what you heard and want to hear more, be sure to like and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Rate us 5 stars, leave us a review, turn on subscription notifications, and tell your friends. Spread the word, spread it wide.